Of course, we want to know obviously you're very involved with the ex-prisoner of war, and anything that besides that and any other organization you belong to, VFW. We'd like to know about that.
Well, my experiences after I got home, I was a mean, no good devil. I learned to kill. Took a while to get it out. And in my document there that I went through when I come home, I started my memoirs. And a lot of stuff I didn't put in there because I didn't feel like it should be in there. Well, anyway, I had notes in that I put into a popcorn can, and they were there for years and years and years. And Dick and Virgil Medlin, they got the idea that they wanted to have a answer question game with me down at one of the down at one of the restaurants. Well, we went down to the restaurant on Main Street there, and they asked me all different kinds of questions and this and that, and I answered them. And pretty soon a woman got up and her husband, and she shook my hand and and thanked me. But anyway, it took me a while to get quieted down on that there, because you got a level of mind that, is it right or is it wrong? Well, anyway, I ended up at the hospital up to Madison there, and I went through all kinds of tests and that, and I went through a psychology test up there, and everything turned out all right, except I had post-traumatic stress disorder from what I'd been through. Anyway, I went to work down to General Motors, and I finally realized after 31 and 7/10 years that I could make a living without being there anymore. So I got out under the first 30 and out contract that General Motors had. I stayed 6 months longer due to my age, and when I got out of there, I found plenty to do. I could do this, I could do that, I could do what I want to do. And I wasn't making much money at that time, and Social Security was very low, but over the years I've increased on that, so I've got a real good livable wage here now that I'm getting in the house. And after a certain time, I joined the VFW. I'm a life member of the VFW. I'm a life member of Disabled American Veterans. I'm a life member of the 106th Infantry Division Association, and I'm a life member of the American Ex-Prisoners of War, of which I have been involved in really deep ever since 1981. I've been trying to get compensation since 1947, but at that time they never had such a thing until 1981, when Congress finally passed laws that they were going to have to start taking care of these people by compensating them for their injuries, and that which they had agreed to do when we signed in. Well, in 1985, in our POW organization, of which we normally had 8 chapters here in the state of Wisconsin, there are only 7 of them left due to the fact that you got to have a certain amount of members in order to have a chapter. Well, the Beltman chapter up in the northeast section, they fell behind due to the fact that people of our age are passing away and they didn't have enough to do their duties. Well, yet we still have 7 chapters. Well, I held every office in the local chapter here in Janesville, Wisconsin. We're called the Southern Wisconsin chapter of the American Ex-Prisoners of War. I've also been the junior vice of the state. I've been the senior vice of the state, and in 2000, 2001, I was state commander for the state of Wisconsin. At that time, we used to travel around. We were designated to go to the hospitals and each chapter and that there to see how the people were doing and that, and I'm still deeply involved in it. And we have our conventions always in August. They're now held in Plover, Wisconsin. And last year we went up to Toma with my son Richard and son Albert. Well, Richard, he didn't make it through the complete convention. He had a little accident, never got hurt seriously, but he's sitting over there smiling about it now. So everything's okie dokie. So now we're having our convention, and some of the people that we had lined up for our officers, now they have sent in their letter requesting that they're not able to comply with their desire, which is too bad because we're all getting up in our 80s, and so this year at our convention we'll have to elect 4 new officers plus a state officer for the commander's job. I was in charge of the motor pool at the time, and he says, Al, he says, requisition me out a Jeep, will ya? I says, no, I won't. I says, why? Where you want to go? This is when we were down in Atterbury, Indiana. He says, oh, I got to go into town. He says, I got some important business to take. I says, well, if you got important business, I said, you better take an important person along. So I said, I suppose I better go. He says, fine, he said. So we goes in there, and he does whatever he does. I think he had a girlfriend there, and he's married with a wife out in New York. So I went down to the movie house. The movie house was over. I picked him up, and we went back to Atterbury, Indiana. So anyway, one day he called. Said, Lieutenant Parker on the line. I said, what the hell do you want? He said, well, I was just wandering around. He said, I was calling various people to see how they were doing. I says, you ain't commandeering any more Jeeps to go to town in, are you? He said, well, he said, let's not talk about that. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Well, anyway, my POW experience, and our motto is that we exist to help those who cannot help themselves in our organization. So a lot of people need help, and some of them aren't quite as lucky as I am. I've been applying for compensation. Well, it starts out on a rating of so much degree, you get 10% and on up, which you probably know. Well, I was diagnosed, so I'm getting 100%. Have been now for a few years, and I don't know whether I ought to tell you how much I'm getting or not. And the kids will try to borrow it. Yeah. Anyway, I get from the United States government right now, I get $2,366 a month. So, along with General Motors, I can stash a little away. Yeah. The first medal here is the Soldier's Medal. This here was gotten during the time of our maneuvers down in Statesville, Tennessee, when I saved 2 people from drowning off the top of a Jeep. The second one is the Bronze Star. This was got for heroism during the Battle of the Bulge in 1944. The next one is the Purple Heart, was for wounds that I received from shrapnel on the 16th of December of 1944 during our pullback from the front line during the Battle of the Bulge. The fourth medal there is the POW medal, which I got for being an American ex-prisoner of war during the Germany over there during the Second World War. And just to show these folks that I was a good boy, I got the Good Conduct Medal. That's number 5. The Battle of, on the bottom here we have the Battle of the Bulge Commemorative Medal. We have the World War II Victory Medal. We have the American Defense Medal. And I have the Europe, Africa, Middle East, and also the American Campaign Medal. So I have a total of 10, which a lot of times I don't like to display, because the people that were the heroes, as far as I'm concerned, are the people that never come back.